Hello there, I hope you can hear me. This is Only One Kenobi, Only One. Welcome to Only One Fans Live. Before I bring my guests in, I'm going to play you a little video I tinkered with today and yesterday, because it wouldn't be an episode of Only One Fans without a vehicle spotlight special. And here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Hello there, Only One Kenobi here, Only One, and welcome to Only One Fans. And I have to make an apology there to Daniel Chart, who will be joining us in a moment. He's one of my guests. Let's bring him in now. And also we have the Blacked Out Ewoks and Solo Shot First to help me with this live stream. I'm apologizing to Daniel Chart because I know he's no fan of The Rise of Skywalker, as I am not as well. But that vehicle, absolutely love it. So, but thank you for joining me for the very first ever live version of Only One Fans. And darn it, man, I better pause that video playing in the background. Boom, just did it. So how are you doing, fellas?
All good, mate, all good. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. And BOE, how are you, man? Hi.
Good. Hi. Is that me talking or you talking?
I don't know.
I'm getting confused.
I'm getting confused as well. But
it's a really interesting action figure. Yeah, I've been house sitting for a few days, looking after some animals, like some cats and a bearded dragon. So,
yeah, I saw your Instagram. I saw all of this. Yeah, I saw the dragon thing. What is that called? Is that a
bearded dragon?
Bearded dragon.
That's my mother-in-law, isn't
it? What's that thing in The Simpsons? What's he called now? Jub. Jub. That's not a bearded dragon. What do they call them?
Oh, I don't know. Chameleon?
I don't watch it.
Not chameleon. There's something else. There's another name for a lizard, but I can't remember now.
Iguana.
Iguana. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. The iguana. Yeah. That's the one.
He was quite chilled. He just more or less just sits under the sun the whole day long. I could dig that sort of life.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Sounds good to me. Yeah, sounds good.
Not eating the bugs though.
Yeah. Oh, they're good for you. Full of protein. What's this got to do with Star Wars? Can we stop talking about the house sitting now? I'm really joking. Mike, how you doing? Solo Shot First, brand new channel to YouTube. And if you haven't subscribed to Mike, do so. How are you, Mike?
Yeah, very well, Nick. You good?
I'm all good, man. Just trying this new format here.
I think we should keep going with the iguana story.
Well, I would love to, but you've got to get up at God knows what time in the morning, Michael. So we better crack on. But that's the thing about this show. It's the fact that, I got a load of questions for the show, and, some of them are just better to discuss. Should we get on with it, fellas? Thank you in the chat for joining us. Before we do that, I'll just give some people a shout here very quickly. We've got Kurt K, Ray Dunkley, C3PO Concepts, Des T, Biker Scout 74, Tony Z, Universal Collector Matthew, Tim Bainbridge, and then it gets thinner now. Oh yeah, Matthew Whiting, Stuart Norris, John Maguire, Obi-Ban Kenobi, Buddy Hepburn, Feslov, Justin Welch. I hope I pronounced that right. Tomb Toys, Tim Bainbridge, Jedi Berry, Daniel Chart. Hang on, what? The Modal Nodes, and my goodness me, Carlos Vinagre, and Stephen Taylor, and then the Roo, Brooking Out Loud, Org, Mr. JJ Abrams, Jeff Carter, Rando Mando. I think I've said everybody. I'll tickle your bollock. That's outrageous. Get out. I don't know who you are. Get out. Fellas, let's kick this on now. Yeah, let's have a bit of this. So let's move on to Wan Voice and hear what some people have had to say this week. I think this first one comes from Matt Lucas, not the Matt Lucas, but anyway, you'll see what I mean in a moment. Friend of ours met him. Here we go. We met him at Echo, didn't we, Daniel San?
We did, yes, we did.
Here he comes now. Yeah, what's going on?
Hi, Nick. Hope you're okay. It's Matt here. Just want to say, love the show, love the channel, and everything you do. Your collection certainly inspired me to certainly grow mine. Couple of questions for you. One, when do I get my invite to Planet Star Wars, aka your house, so I can come and see the collection? Given that I'm only down the road.
I'm going to stop you there, Matt Lucas. You're not just down the road. I think it's about half an hour away. And stop trying to invite yourself over to my house. It's a bit like Alan Partridge, meet me brother-in-law next week. Have that.
And secondly, a couple of other questions, really. what would you say is your biggest pet hate with the Star Wars vintage collection line? Whether that's a vehicle, whether that's a mock card back or a figure. And also, what would you say is your biggest disappointment with the line? What let you down the most, and how do you think Hasbro could fix that for you? So yeah, be interested to hear where you're at on those. All right, mate. Take care. Bye for now.
Nice question there. And biggest disappointment, fellas, he was asking about there for TVC. Would anyone want to go first on this one? Because I've got some thoughts on that.
Yeah, I don't mind, Nick. In terms of the biggest disappointment from a vehicle perspective, and I know I've said this to you before, what we have seen in some of their obviously most recent modern vintage releases, the vehicles, for example, like the Rogue One tank and things like that, the detailing is absolutely fantastic and superb. No problems with that whatsoever. What I did have a not necessarily a pet hate about, but when they redid the Galaxy's Edge Millennium Falcon, and I've said this to you many a time, I obviously, yes, it's just the mold, obviously, of the legacy one. I didn't think it needed, personally, in my opinion, it needed to have electronics. I'd have rather have had that whole top piece being removable, so that you had the whole of the vehicle accessible. So a small gripe, minor gripe, but that is my gripe with what they've done with that. With this modern TVC line, it is a collector's line. Does it need to really have the electronics as we had, from the Falcon back as kids? So there you go.
That would have been awesome, Mike. You've said that for many years, and the more you say it, the more I wish they'd bloody done it, because I'm tired of it. You're going on about it, but no,
but
honestly,
I mean, if you look at the Rogue One tank,
should have done
if you look at the Rogue One tank, I mean, it was superb. Did it need? Does that need sounds? No, of course it doesn't.
Nah.
So it's only an opinion, but there you go.
My biggest disappointment, just very quickly, is the fact that they've never done any alternative card backs for stuff. Like the classic one, go-to example is always Luke Bespin. Looking, is it BOE? Do we call it?
Looking and looking as opposed to walking.
Anything other than that fuzzy card back. But then again, I've mellowed on that one. I used to be really militant and angry about all that situation, but now I quite enjoy looking at a row of the same on the wall. But then again, just at least once could they give us that alternative, and also things like C-3PO, bringing him out multiple times on an Empire card as opposed to
Star Wars.
Yeah. But then again, unless they've got something in the pipeline where they're going to bring out a vac metalized 3PO on a Star Wars card, I don't know.
But that's the thing, Nick. With your point, that's very, very valid, because actually, if you look at that, the first complete TVC from zero, obviously one Dengar being right up to 115, any of the ones that they're reproducing, or like obviously you've got Shea Vizsla coming out, which is fantastic. I've never owned that, but they could have given you an alternative card back for that, couldn't they? Do you know what I mean? So that people that collected that first original from 1 right up to 115. Do you know what I mean? It would add something if they were different card backs. As simple as that. They don't need. Yes, the figure they can kit bash or whatever and rehash, but give us something different on the card.
Any other thoughts from anyone else? Because we've got quite a lot of questions.
Disappointments for me. Some of the play sets, particularly the Mandalorian Navarro Cantina, it's not great in my opinion. There's not enough to it. When you compare it to the Tantive 4 playset, that is a lot better than the Navarro Cantina for me. The walls are not detailed enough, not enough weathering. I thought they cut a few corners on that. I thought it could have been better. And the best been carbon freezing chamber as well. I mean, only released in half of the circle.
Yeah, that was poor.
That was poor. It should have at least been a full circle. I know you can make the full circle by buying 2 of them, but you should have that from the off. And a pet hate, I would say, the only thing I've hated about the new vintage collection 2.0 is the thin card backs. But they have addressed that now. So we're going to get some better card backs in the future. They're starting to turn up.
Lots of valid points in the chat as well. People talking about Tony Z said about no Farm Boy Luke. You can add that to the list of disappointments.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. The 96, obviously. Let's get that out quicker.
All right. Any thoughts to BOE before we move on?
I mean, I'd just say that I'd agree with about the thinness of the card and how long it's taken for them to really act on that. And, the backs of the cards with all the warnings, they're just so abysmal in design compared to the first release in 2010, 2012. So, and then with the reissues, I really think they should be on different cards because people
card
who spend a lot of money for the original Ashoka, they're going to be gutted by the fact that it's being reissued again. That's a figure that sells for about $500, $700 or pounds, and now it's being reissued on virtually the same card. I mean, obviously there's differences and stuff like that, but I think a bit of variety. That was the great thing about the vintage line, was all the variety with the card backs.
Gunner Luke.
If you look at the original Star Wars cards, you've got 3 subcategories. You've got the 12 backs, you've got the 20 and 21 backs. Empire Strikes Back, you've got so many varieties. You've got 21 backs, all different offers. You've got the the 3-4 LOM offer, so you get all these different varieties on these different cards. Same with the Return of the Jedi 65, 77 backs. And with the 70 Jedi cards, they did change some of the images on the cards. They refreshed the images on certain characters because they knew it was getting a bit stale. I mean, why can't they do that now? I mean, it's just
lazy.
Alone. Sorry, Mike. Go on.
No, as you say, it's just them being quite lazy, isn't it, BOE?
Yeah.
Really.
But the thing is that these toys are not cheap. Or action figures. They are toys, though, essentially. They're 16, 17 pounds in the UK each. That's a lot of money, so if you want to buy 5 of them, you're talking almost 100 quid, or 6 of them. Yeah, that's a lot of money. And, they're still only giving us half what we want. And then we're being told we might lose the plastic blister, which is utterly
God, don't get him onto that. In fact, actually, it was quite funny last time we talked about that.
Utterly ridiculous, because we collect these cards because we're all late 40s, early 50s, because those cards are.
I'll stop you there, BOA. I'm not quite that old yet.
Yeah, okay, you're a bit younger, but
I'll be there before you know it. Anyway,
yeah.
Go on, sorry, BOE. You're making a point there.
Well, I'm just saying that it's just that nostalgia kick, and it's because of the way those cards were back in those days, and we want the cards just like that as well.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. They better not. They better not jack in the bubble before they finish the 96. I say that much. But
they
anyway,
won't. They can't.
Hopefully not. Well, let's spin on, boys. Let's have another one. Well done. That was very good, that fellas. Good thoughts on that. Let's have a little listen to what we got next. I think the next one is Donovan Diaz, I believe. Let's have a little listen. There he is.
Hey, Only One Kenobi. It's Donovan again. Recently, with this past Fan First Wednesday, I was really hoping to see some more Book of Boba Fett in TVC. And my question for you is, when do you think we will see more of that? Just, we've had so much Mandalorian. I love the Mandalorian. It's literally my favorite show. But I do want to see Cad Bane and Chrysanthemum and stuff like that. But I don't know. Just let me know your thoughts. Thank you.
Yeah, good point. That and with regards that, I can't keep up with what's real and what's fictional because given we've had the SWTVC March Madness and all that, I don't know what's official and what's yet to be announced. But what am I on about here? I'm on about Chrysanthemum now because Chrysanthemum's your number one wish, isn't it?
He's coming. He's definitely going to come.
It's a hyped character. Yeah.
Yeah, he will happen. But I can't remember if he's been pipelined or not yet. But I don't think he has.
Only in the Black series, isn't he? I think. But they'll definitely give us they'll definitely give us Chrysanthemum, and they'll definitely probably just do a repack or an upscaled Kit Bash version of Cad Bane. I don't think there's any issue that we probably won't get those at all. I think we will definitely get those. It's just what other characters you would take out of that line, in terms of what other characters would you want from that series. The thing is, the reason that obviously they've done so much from The Mandalorian is because the series was so well received, both by sort of vintage, sorry, not vintage, but an older audience as well as a younger audience as well. I've got neighbours that live sort of next door to me, and their two young kids love Mandalorian. Do you know what I mean? So, but from the point of view of the Book of Boba Fett, it'd be interesting to sort of see what other characters they might send out from that, because I don't think it was probably as well received as The Mandalorian, but who knows?
No, it was good. It was hit and miss, but it was still enjoyable. And that new Fett figure, by the way, I brought it in here with me to have a look at it. And again, I haven't seen it since I reviewed it, but that's a brilliant figure. So a couple more characters in that line would be awesome. But
I'm excited.
Tarful would be quite good, wouldn't they? Could they use Tarful to make a Chrysanthemum? Because he's halfway there, isn't he?
They could, but it would be better if they did a new sculpt.
Yeah.
He deserves a new sculpt, because
of
that character was brilliant in that show. He stole every episode that he was in. I mean, the episode when he was sitting in the canteen watching the Trandoshans, and getting drunk and getting fed up, and then he just got up and beat them all up. I thought that was brilliant. I mean,
the thing is with that, Dan, that's the thing. They will probably do that. I think what we have seen with the TVC recently, where you have had obviously sort of, I think, again, if anyone wants to make a comment on this, in whoever's watching, please do. But I don't think the Black Series one that they released or have sort of put out for release.
Shocker.
Well, I'm not going to say a shocker, but yeah, I don't think it was as well received. But what we have then seen in the TVC line, where we've been waiting for figures, for example, a classic one of that is, we waited for Bo-Katan for a little bit longer, but the quality of the figure was unparalleled, wasn't it? Do you know what I mean? The quality was better. So, fingers crossed.
Smuggler's Canyon, trigger warning. Trigger warning. Yeah.
Christian's triggered.
Grey jeans.
Yeah, he must be wearing his grey jeans again. That's what it is.
50 shades of grey jeans.
50 shades of grey jeans. 50 pairs of grey.
I went to Tesco's today and bought 500 pairs of grey jeans.
We're digressing. Just to go back to Donovan's question, his point about the figures from the Book of Boba Fett. I think because there's so much media as well now, we've got Kenobi coming, we've got Andor coming. We still want figures from the Mandalorian. We want figures from the Book of Boba Fett, and most importantly, we want to finish the original 96 figures.
Yeah.
I think they've got so many figures to make now to please as many of us as they can. I think from the Book of Boba Fett, even from Kenobi, you're just going to see one or two figures here and there.
Yeah.
And when you look back to Rogue One, when the film came out, they had a whole line of figures dedicated to that film, albeit 5POA. Then you had the sequel travesty. They made a line of figures for that. They're not doing that anymore, so I think you're only going to get one or two characters every so often from all the different shows. That's my take on it.
I think they'll just test the water to see, like the Mandalorian really took off, so they realized we might as well make lots of figures for that. With this Book of Boba Fett, it's not so popular,
exactly.
So we'll leave off a bit and see how Obi-Wan goes, and they'll just test the waters, so to speak.
We have 74 people watching here, from what I can see. It seems to vary. I don't know if that's the most accurate statistic, but thank you very much for tuning in if you have come by. And dare I ask, if you hit the like button as well, why not? While you're here,
Yes, hit the like.
It'll definitely help the channel and all that. Should we spin on, boys? That was awesome. Good question. Thank you, Donovan, for that. And let's see who is next. I can't remember who is next.
Whoa. Teeny Jedi. General Kenobi. Do you not think with the release of Hasbro's Throne Room and the playset we previously had for Jabba's Palace, it would be kind of cool if every couple of years Hasbro released a piece of that, so all kind of linked up. And if they could do that with other playsets like a Hoth, then we get like a Hoth Echo base, and then a couple of years we got something that linked to that. Well, slowly along the way we could build the bigger playset, which they've never released a massive playset, but slowly but surely we'd get there. You know what I'm saying? Cheers, mate. Great show.
I love that. You know what I'm saying?
It's a
Yeah.
great question.
That was the Roo, by the way. Who has
cool.
Oh, that's the Roo, is it?
It's a really good question. Yeah, that is the Roo. That was nice to hear his normal voice there, because the last message he left was in the voice of Alec Guinness, which was a really decent impression as well. But it's quite funny to hear his actual voice. Would you not? Yeah. Let us know what part of the world you're from, Roo, in the He's watching now, I think, but still. Fellas, a really interesting topic.
Not far from you, Nick, by the sounds of it.
I don't think so, mate. He sounds like he's from the other side of the bloody country. Well, towards Yorkshire. Is that right? I don't know.
Yorkshire. I'm saying Lancashire.
You're saying north of Barnet. That's what your problem is, isn't it?
I'm saying Lancashire, somewhere there.
Certainly where they have gravy on chips.
Stokey. You a Port Vale? Actually, one of my dad's mates is a massive Vale fan, and he used to work in a company full of Stoke-on-Trent fans. And he was like the only Port Vale fan. But anyway,
that means something entirely different down here.
Anyway, moving hastily on. I forgot what his question was now. All this banter.
Modular playsets.
Yeah, well, we were talking about this before we started the show, and Mike and Dan, you had some words on it. But I obviously they're making the set for the Book of Boba Fett, the Palace or whatever, the incarnation of the Book of Boba Fett era. But you could customize it for Jabba's era. But yeah, that sort of says goodbye to the modular idea, which we thought was going to happen, right, fellas?
Yeah. A modular Death Star would be good. Because obviously, I mean, you look at the Tantive 4 playset. That is modular. You can buy multiple sets, join them together and make multiple corridors. You can put them on different ways. A Death Star or a Cloud City playset like that would be great. I mean, you have endless options with Death Star walls and corridors. I mean, you could make a really good playset with that. Yeah. And a cantina as well. You could make a modular cantina, get different parts of the cantina, and buy them, put them all together, and rather than spend a lot of money in one go on a great big cantina like a HasLab or something, you could build one by getting smaller parts. That would work.
Nice idea.
I mean, it'd have to be designed so that maybe it's corridors and then maybe like for the cantina, like a central area where they have the bar as well. So you can just buy what you want. So you can have the bar as big as you'd like. So you could have it, if you've got quite a lot of space, you could have it like a 3-foot square. Or if you're limited by space, you buy less wall pieces and just have the bar as well, and you just customize it. Yeah, buy what you need rather than one size fits all.
Alcoves instead of 5 and 6.
Yeah. I mean, it's difficult because I mean, in the past, when we were kids, it was so easy for them to knock out the cantina with a piece of cardboard and a little bit of plastic, and the rest was your imagination just took over, and you had great fun just putting your little figures around that play set, the creature cantina, because that's one I did have, the Palatoy version. I never had the cardboard Death Star, but I'm sure if you had that as a child, I mean, that is something that they could so easily redo, and it would sell like hotcakes, the cardboard Death Star.
On that though, BOE, there's I don't know if I can say this. There is a guy that
does.
Yeah, he makes that. Yeah. It doesn't include the plastic clips at all. It's all cardboard. But but it looks unbelievably impressive, that version. But it's interesting with if you go back and talk about when you were saying about some of the cardboard things that they did. I think it was it the Power of the Force? I'm not sure.
Too.
They did a cantina, didn't they? And they also did a Jabba's Palace pop-up thing as well.
Yeah.
And other than the bar, I suppose, of the cantina, because that just didn't work because it was cardboard, pop-up cardboard. That was obviously very square. But the actual background of that and everything else on that was very, very good. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So you could almost reproduce that and then just give yourself like the bar section of that, and that would still work. I mean, it depends how you want to display these things, doesn't it? That's the whole thing.
And the use. Like if you're an action figure photographer, and there's a growing number of them, if you want to take pictures recreating scenes from Star Wars of like Walrus Man and or Ponda Baba and Dr. Everson manhandling Luke at the cantina, you're going to want those figures plus a little bar.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the bar section, for example, in that cardboard version that they did, which was the only thing that let that down. The rest of it was pretty good. I mean, that was my opinion of it. But
they did do some bar figure. They did pairs of figures with bits of bar.
Yeah,
around
that's
2004,
right.
Which are that bar was quite. I mean, it's quite easy for them to replicate that and sell the bar in pieces, and I mean, Hasbro just making things seem so difficult when really it's not. I mean,
exactly. They've got it. They've got it all there. That's the thing. It's the whole the bar thing that was the difficult thing. If you look at the other things like the what the question was with regards to things like Hoth and that, what I suppose it depends on the sort of play set that people want to put together on that, isn't there? Because there's lots to do with the Hoth play set in terms of the design and how, a lot of people would like it sort of showcased outside where you have the big turrets and all those sort of things, and then you've got the inside. So that would probably be a little bit more complicated for them, but it's literally how you want to do. How can they would have to look at it from the point of view how these things can be displayed. So when, for example, like Nick sort of showcases his shelves, it's great that he can have, for example, like Tanty 4 works very, very well. Different scene, it's how you're showcasing the scenes, isn't it? That's
yeah. I mean, that Dagobah fan-made playset he just got, that's an amazing piece. I mean, you can it's small, it's more or less self-contained. You can put all the pieces inside. It's Yoda's little hut.
Yeah,
it's a little world in itself. That's why I like sometimes getting those old Micro Machine sets. They're little environments, and you can just sort of film them and review them. And it's a little marketplace from episode 1 or little.
Hold that thought, BOE. The next question coming up will really tie in nicely to that.
Yeah.
But no, I don't mean to cut into you there. Very, very rude of me to do that. But no, honestly, there's something coming up which is right up your street, actually, because I know you get all that Action Fleet stuff. And I've got something to say on that as well with regards to one of the upcoming questions. Yeah. Speaking of which, let's spin on, fellas. Let's hear this next one. I think this is from Darth Wizzy Wizard, but there we go. It's just on this topic. It is him.
Okay, Only One Kenobi. I got a really good question here. I was looking at Black Show.
So I'll be the judge of that, if it's a good question or not, Darth Wizzy Wizard. But let's have. Sorry.
Ewoks, and I mentioned in a comment on his Instagram there, in regards to Mission Fleet. Looking at the detail of them, I bought a few of them for friends of mine's kids and that. But do you think that possibly Hasbro should have moved to that scale? Because you think about it, with the type of modern manufacturing and the detail that you're getting even on those little figures, I mean, you can make a Millennium Falcon and make it to the correct scale, closer to the 1-to-1, whereas even the Legacy collection isn't that close. Or you look at the sail barge, put it into vintage type packaging, etc. Do you think maybe that's the scale where you could really actually accomplish replicating the whole Star Wars universe? Because the space alone, I think it's like 1 1/4 or something scale.
Yeah.
Like you could actually, where space is a huge issue, where you could see it, even though the Black Series people are kind of, I don't want to say in denial, but you can't really, you need a mansion in order to build for vehicles, and that where 3 3/4 is absolutely king, especially with modern tooling. The detail is off the chart now. I mean, just looking at my latest Mandalorian figure, I mean, it's like, come on, man, how good do you need them to be? But you can really replicate the whole universe now. But in that scale, you can really do it, if you did it, for adults as opposed to mission fleets just for young toddlers, right? But anyways, that's my question. A great topic, actually, to explore.
Yeah, it's a really good question. And, going back years now, I was well aware years ago, there's one specific scene in Empire Strikes Back when Yoda has just finished levitating the X-Wing, and then Luke touches the nose of it, doesn't he? Just before it comes back down to the ground. Luke's looking at it and he touches the front of the ship. And it was then when I got a sense of how big the X-Wing is compared to a human body. And then, and then I thought to myself, well, obviously 3 3/4 inch, the Kenner Tonka one years ago, whatever it was not to scale. Things have changed. Things have got bigger, like Legacy Collection, Falcons and such like. But still, in the mid-90s, though, there was no Star Wars figures anymore. It's finished before they brought out Power of the Force 2. But I got sucked into the Action Fleet line, and I thought this is a brilliant line because you can have the vehicles and then the figures more or less at scale. And I loved it. I've still got them. I must do a review on it. But I think that's what I thought about when I heard his message. I've never touched any mission fleet. I don't know anything about it really, but it's a great idea to have smaller figures to really, and you can do everything properly to scale and have huge items then. So it kind of pricked my head, that question. Anyway, any thoughts on that, fellas?
Well, I was thinking about Action Fleet as well. So I mean, I think Hasbro and Micro Machines through the years have just tried different scales of vehicle to figure proportions throughout. So you had the really tiny Micro Machines where you could have the only little ships in the early 90s before the Power of the Force 2 came out. Then you got Power of the Force 2 coming in, and they sort of used the old Kenner molds for the vehicles. Then you started to get bigger scaled ships. I think the giant large Power of the Force 2 X-Wing in the green box, that was like the first time it was sort of done in the proper size, the X-Wing. And so it all depends if you're a big vehicle collector or not. I've never been a big vehicle collector because I've always been an action figure collector. I prefer the action figures on cards, but I have collected some of the Action Fleet in the past. I always thought that was quite a good size, but then the figures were only about half an inch tall.
Yeah, they were crap as well. There wasn't anything to them, was it?
So really, if you're going to go along with that sort of scale, then you're talking about a vehicle line with little pilot figures, sort of model kit almost. And then if it's the Mission Fleet, they're 1.5 inches, but they're sort of still stylized because their feet are quite out of proportion with the rest of their body. So they're quite stylized little figures. So, and they did do the Han Solo with the Millennium Falcon, and that's not in scale because only what single Han Solo figure can fit into the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon. That's the Mission Fleet Falcon. I think the Razor Crest they did for that line was much better. So, it all depends. If you want to collect vehicles, if you're going to take them out of the box and have them lined up, then maybe that's one way they could go. But I think most people choose vehicles that they really want to collect. I mean, you've got the space to collect quite a few of them. So you've got quite a, in your loose room, you've got quite a lot of vehicles there, which is quite impressive. but I haven't got the space for that at all. So the only vehicles I've got are a few of the die-cast ships from the 70s and 80s. In 1982, Kenner themselves tried to do a sort of line of, the micro collection, and that totally flopped because parents weren't going to pay again for more Star Wars toys that are not in the same scale as the 3.75, even though that you could have Death Star world, you could have the Hoth world, you could have the Bespin world. So they've been trying to do this since Star Wars toys started. Really, is trying to have more expansive play sets and more larger ships with more smaller figures, and it's a really difficult area to really. I mean, I'm confused now as well. I mean, I'm thinking about it, but I think if you're more into vehicles, then maybe you should go through like Action Fleet, or just buy Hasbro 3.75 scale vehicles, because that Falcon, the Yatat, they're amazing vehicles, aren't they?
They're great, and they've got the scale right. And also, the only vehicle I own that the full short in terms of scale, sadly, Mike, is the Rebel Blockade Runner. Not the Rebel Blockade Runner, I beg your pardon. The Royal Naboo Royal Starship. Looks beautiful, but it's so far off the scale. It's ridiculous. But the scale of everything else works, like the barge. But I always think about scale always when I'm in that room, because I think about Lego men would probably be more accurate against the barge, but still the barge works with 3 3/4 inch figures. So, but I don't know. It's an interesting topic. Scale stuff.
I mean, there's not a clear answer, because I'd say we've been collecting 3.75 since 1978. That's the sort of bread and butter. I know they've tried to introduce Black Series, but it's very difficult to do anything larger for a Black Series. I mean, they did that TIE Fighter, and it was just so huge.
Yeah, Tim was talking last night on Ask Bosk about someone talked about the skiff, and that's possible, that's doable. But then again, I don't know, man. I think it's just a dead duck, really. The vehicles in that line are just too big, way too big.
Yeah,
I think the thing with obviously that you do have with the 3.75 inch line, although the vehicles might not be completely accurate as we like, they're more. Listen, they're more than passable, aren't they? If you look at the fact, for example, like you just mentioned, BOE, if you were collecting from when you were a child or whatever, and the first figures came out in '78, and then you got them, you got the Falcon. Yeah, that thing blew you away. As a child, that was an enormous ship. Yeah. So to then get, if you put you put that as a comparison against the Legacy Falcon one, and it's blown away, isn't it? So even though people and people will I wouldn't say moan, but they'll say, yeah, it isn't scale accurate or whatever. But we probably thought you would never get a Falcon that you would get 4 figures in the cockpit. And okay, yes, I don't like the electronic side of things. I would like the open. But actually, listen, it's more than passable. It's a massive vehicle, isn't it? Let's be honest. And the other things that they've given us in that line, Nick, you've got your Katana on show. I can't
lovely.
Comment on. I know you've mentioned plenty of times, Jess, if you were being very screen accurate, it would be Lego people, but it's more than passable. If you go down that line and you're then going obviously to a smaller scale, yes, you can obviously upscale the vehicles, but the detailing obviously on the figures is not going to be as good, and it's not necessarily going to be as part of that sort of collector line, if that makes sense. I know that sounds really, really silly, but a lot of people will collect either 3.75 or Black Series. So it's and the vehicles that you do still have in the 3.75, they are still for world building, really. So
what are your thoughts on this, Daniel?
Pretty much what Mike said, really. I mean, I think and what BOE said, if you're more into vehicles, if you're interested in proper scale vehicles, then obviously the smaller the figures, the better. So that would work with the mission fleet. But the heritage scale is 3 3/4 inch. I mean, that's the true action figure scale as far as I'm concerned. So, and I think the figures are more important than everything else. You know, that's the bread and butter of the lot of the toys, really, isn't it? So,
yeah.
And as you said, the vehicles that we do get in the vintage collection and the vehicles we got back in the 70s and 80s, I mean, they weren't true scale, but they were good enough. They were fine. So, yeah, I think, like I said, if you're more into vehicles and you want, you know, a more accurate scale, then yes, go with the smaller figures. But no, you've got to stick with the 3 3 3/4.
Yeah,
Definitely.
That's the thing in the back of my mind, Dan. I was thinking that, you know, the smaller the worse, and people have said it in the chat now. I'm looking at it. The smaller the figure, the worse it'll be. And
That's the thing. You lose detail when the figure is smaller.
I never loved it. You know, I said I adopted the action fleet, and I thought brilliant. And in my heart, I thought great. It's actually a proper scale, and hey, I don't need figures of the 3 3/4 and whatever. But no way, man. It was always crap. It was always rubbish having those figures. Did nothing. And accurate to scale, yes, but they were just crap, and they were so small. The paint was terrible as well. But I don't know. Someone mentioned mask before. That would be quite an interesting thing. Mask scale.
Were those actually accurate to scale though, Nick? That's the thing. So,
well, maybe not. I don't know. But what I mean is more so than say a Tonka X-wing is what I meant, Mike.
No, of course. But what I mean is, if you look at the mission fleet, you know that yes, you know you can get more in terms of if you're going to build a bigger ship, but I don't think they would build a big vehicle in that line because the figures are so small that that's not the market that they're trying to. Mission fleet is there for obviously a very, very specific market, isn't it? It is for the child line. Yeah, and I don't mean that. That's not being disrespectful at all. But so
it's aimed at kids. It's aimed at little ones.
Exactly. They're not gonna give you a full scale, whether it be Falcon in even in that line or Razor Crest. Please correct me if I'm wrong here. By the way, I don't think they have they? I know.
No,
exactly. So, and the figures are not going to. They're not going to appeal to a certain audience, even if the vehicle size was right. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's all about the figures.
All about the figures. You just say, Dan. Then sorry.
It is, yeah.
Right.
It's all about, and the detail now. I mean, look, the face sculpts we get of the human characters now. Most of them look just like the people they're supposed to look like. When you look at the vintage figures, I mean, we loved them as kids, but they didn't look nothing like the people they were supposed to be. So,
just a quick shout. Sorry, Dan. I just saw that James Clark artist there. Hail. Yet you have an interesting little emblem next to your name. I presume it looks like you've become a member. I don't know when that happened, but I'm not seeing when people are becoming members. But it looks like you have. So thank you for that, James Clark, artist, brilliant artist as well. Check his artwork out. And what else was I going to say? Just on the business of scale, finally, fellas, I'd be really interested because it's a big ship as it is. The Tidarium hangar or the Lambda class shuttle. Did I say Tidarium hangar? I meant the Tidarium shuttle. The Lambda class shuttle is a massive thing and it hasn't changed since the 80s. But I would be well interested to know what that would be like if they had the full-sized cockpit version. They'd obviously have to make the rest of it bigger, would they not? So that would be a massive vehicle, even in 3 3/4 inch. But I'd still be interested to see.
They wouldn't be able to make that a true scale.
Wow.
To the 3 3/4 inch figures.
So tall, isn't it?
It would be
interesting. Well,
it would have to be a HasLab project, and whether you'd even listen, whether you'd get the backing or not, I don't know.
No, I'm with you, Michael. He kind of Daniel sounded like he was writing it off. It wouldn't, but yeah, it would have to be a HasLab. But I wouldn't like to say never on that. I'd love to see that happen because more than two in the cockpit.
But it would be so big, as Daniel said. It would be so big.
I mean, the wings would be the dorsal fin would be so high up.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, Barry. The wings
with a ceiling fan.
Yeah.
Anyway. I just want to say, everyone who's watching this, stay tuned. I had this idea of maybe a little giveaway at the end. I want to give away a patch. So I've got a little idea of a little mini quiz thing, and then we'll put a few names on a wheel, spin it if you're interested in that. It won't take too long. It's not going to be as long as the other one had like 65 or 70 names or something on it. But anyway, we'll just do a couple of questions. First one to answer, I'll put you on the wheel, and then I'll give away a patch if that's something that floats your boat. And also, I hate saying this. I hate it when asking people to do stuff and they're just trying to relax and watch a video, maybe. But if you do hit the like button, I think it is the general consensus is it's good for the channel. So if you could do that, that'd be awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you. Anyway, moving hastily on, fellas. Should we have a little bit more now? I think that's the last video or audio message we have, but I think the rest are just a few comments. And
okay, cool.
I'm going to go to them now. This is the first one, and this is quite funny. This because, again, I was watching Bosk's Bounty, Ask Bosk. Was it last night, Sunday?
Seen that question before.
Yeah, Des T commented with this on my thing, but this is also something he asked Bosk. But then again, we're all different, and what he said will be different from what you fellas have to say about this. But should I read it? Here we go. Here's a question for you. Oh, okay. With all the new VC coming out, pre-orders, etc., how do you keep up to date with what you've ordered? From where and how many, etc. Keep up the great work you're doing. Never change with the waffling and expert camera work. Oh, yeah! No, I've only just recently, Des, and I still haven't really... I'm all... I mean, Tim said he was unorganized. I can't imagine that. I don't believe that for a second. I'm sure he's on the button with everything. But no, I've only just recently started to write stuff down, Des. I really am all over the place with orders. I have to I'm sick and tired of having to log on to Star Action Figures to see what's pending and blah, blah, blah. But fellas, how about you? It's ridiculous. We're fighting a war on 3 or 4 fronts with it as well. You've got like Hasbro Pulse. You've got ID Toys.
Star Action.
Yeah, bloody
Star
hell.
Action.
I started keeping a book though, BOE, but I haven't added to that book for about 3 or 4 months. So I don't know where the hell I'm up to again. How about you boys? Anything you want to add on that one?
Yeah, I don't ever write anything down or keep track of pre-orders. I just every now and again go on the site, log into one of the websites and check my existing pre-orders. I don't order too much stuff anyway, so I can keep a mental track of most of the things I'm getting anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really do pre-orders. I just wait till the stuff's available online and then try and... I mean, I'm still catching up on Vintage Collection, but I mean, I went to Forbidden Planet today and I could have picked up some stuff, but I changed my mind. But then I've just won stuff on eBay. So, I mean, I'm just like so frenetic almost like, oh, I need this. I'll go on eBay, buy vintage Star Wars. I mean, 80s stuff. And then, you know, so I'm such a focused collector, you know, that... You know, I'm just keeping track. When it arrives, that's it.
Yeah. Did you see the thing on Dark Side Alliance earlier, BOE? That starter set for mock cards. I think it was 8D8 Klaatu, and it was who else? Can't remember now. It was Squid, Pruneface. Oh, and Logray, and they were beaters. With loads of litho damage and stuff, but it was 240 for the 4, and I was loitering over it, thinking, well, if you divide it by 4, what's that, 60 quid each?
Yeah.
I was thinking, well, maybe because some of them were unpunched, and I was thinking, but I didn't do it in the end. Somebody did, but it's very tempting, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean,
sucked into it again.
Yeah.
Dark side.
And then
somebody say something.
Never change with the waffling expert camera work. I mean, I'm a master of waffling.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, I can't take that crown from you, BOE, but here's another one. Here's Scott Borum, who's watching now, actually. I think he's watching from Australia. So it says, oh, okay, I know you hear it a lot, but keep up the great videos. You're an inspiration to collectors worldwide. Wow. With the release of Book of Boba Fett, we saw Tuscans, Banthers, and Naboo Starfighter. And overnight, the price of all these on the secondhand market doubled, almost tripled in some cases. So my question is, do you think the same will happen with the release of the Obi-Wan series? And the first thing that comes to mind is what's it called? The Opie?
The Opie, yeah. That's already gone through the roof, that has.
Why, what we're looking at now?
Yeah, but to be fair, Dan, that's been stupidly priced for years and years and
Yeah,
years.
yeah.
But this question here is, yes, everything that will appear in the show will go sky high price wise,
Yeah.
because I mean, rather than wait for them to release it again, because I mean, that just going back to the Mandalorian, that Naboo starfighter that everybody has, you know, tried to get the what line was it in now? The Discover the Force one with the sliding cockpit hatch, what Nick's got. Everybody's trying to get hold of one of them and then respraying it and customizing it. Just wait, because they're definitely going to release that in the vintage collection. It's an absolute given. They have to.
The thing is, I think BOE, you mentioned it in the last time we had a chat with the sorry, what was it? The OP or whatever it's
OP, yeah.
That what was that? That was originally there were two versions, wasn't there, of that?
There's one from about 2008-9. That was the Legacy collection. I think it was on mail away, wasn't it?
Is that the one that was the white box? The white
box?
Yeah.
And then and then I think there was one in '99, which was probably maybe wasn't as well distributed as the other creatures and stuff.
Yeah. So the point being, they were both quite difficult to get hold of, even in the first place.
Yeah.
Let alone now on the secondary market. You know. So I suppose the point being, I saw the white box. I think I mentioned this even in the last video that we were chatting on. I think I saw one of those that was, and this was even before probably that they put the video out about the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. I think that was up for auction at sort of £60, and I was amazed nobody took it. But I say amazed nobody took it. That's a ridiculous price, isn't it? Let's be honest. Let's hope they give it. You know, as Dan said, let's hope they just release these things. Do you know what I mean? Let's hope they do let us have these. So, you know,
around the time, Mike, I got that banter. I was sat and I did that review, and I remember thinking to myself, I felt so confident that they were going to do that, bring that one back, or some kind of banter because of that first episode of season 2. And I just thought,
and we're still waiting.
It's a win-win in it. It's part of the Mandalorian, and it's a classic.
And literally, Nick, it
never happened.
Repack, doesn't it? But
it didn't happen, did it?
You would assume that again they've got the you'd think they've got the sculpts for it.
Yeah. Makes you wonder, though, doesn't it, with some of these things?
Oh, they've got to put it out on. But it's like, I suppose it's like anything else with these things. They're probably looking at the moment. Again, the analytics of these guys, they'll be drilling into it massively. But with how successful the Mandalorian was, and you saw obviously things like you just said, Nick, the banter. Listen, you put that out on a vintage collection card, and just it wouldn't even need to be a resculpt. Let's be honest. The actual thing is a
box. Yeah,
exactly. You put it in a box. BOE. The thing would sell like hotcakes.
It would.
Oh, God, yeah. The Power of the Force 2 one as well. Beautiful, that one.
Yeah, exactly, Nick. Yeah, sorry, I meant the Power of the Force.
The other one's a bit like a poodle, I think the other one looks, but still.
I mean, with regards to creatures, the elephant in the room, how are we still waiting?
no pun intended, banter.
No pun intended with regards to a banter, but how are we still waiting for a vintage collection blurg?
Yeah,
I mean, where is it? It's madness that we haven't got one. We haven't even seen a pipeline reveal or any whispers of a blurg. I mean, where is it?
I know. I don't know what to say to that, though, Daniel. We've been asking that for weeks and months and years.
Yeah.
But that's the scary thing, Dan, because I know I've sort of mentioned it about like these guys talking about analytics and stuff. These marketing teams, okay, that these guys have got, will be all over this, and it is actually quite frightening that we haven't had it at all. Because as somebody else mentioned in one of Nick's previous videos, it was oh God, I'm gonna lose my mind here. It's going to sound awful.
Well, Kevin Delaney, sorry, just while you're thinking, Mike, I hope that isn't doesn't happen. What you just said there, that they're going to stay away from creatures because of the Rancor fiasco. Hopefully not. I can't remember the last time they brought out a creature, to be honest, for them to get some data on that for purchases. But maybe they should look at the eBay sales of stuff like Banthers. But anyway, sorry, Mike.
No, but that's the point, Nick. They any decent marketing team or whatever looking at all of this stuff, and they will do all of this. Trust me, they will look at it. But it's criminal that they, like Daniel said, they haven't given us a blurb. They could put that out in however many different colours and everyone would buy it. It doesn't make any difference. Do you know what I mean? So
I just want to say thanks to Scuba Pete before we forget and the conversation rolls on. Thanks for dropping a little super chat there, Scuba Pete. Appreciate that. Very kind. I hope you're still there.
Cheers.
But anyway, that's also very nice. Thank you.
What was the last creature we got in the vintage collection? Was it? It must have been. Is it Luke's Tauntaun? Is it really that long ago?
It's so confusing, isn't it? Because we're dreaming in our own heads like what we could and should have. That it feels like I've had something more recent than that. But
it's difficult, Dan, because they did in the vintage collection. You're probably right, but if you go back to, I think Nick, you bought this one. They did it was the 5 POA 5 POA Luke
with the Wampa.
And that was amazing.
The Wampa was a massive update.
Articulated. It was awesome.
Exactly.
Why wasn't that put in the but
exactly. That's the
collection
point.
was around by then. I think it was.
But that Wampa was absolutely superb, and you think, and here, obviously in the UK, that has actually been like. I think it was
the Probot was good. Sorry, Mike. The Probot was amazing. That would have been good in a vintage box as well. Bloody hell.
It would.
Who's advising these people? It's crazy.
I hope they're watching.
Are they?
Well, their marketing team bloody needs a shake up. That's for certain.
Yeah, that Wampa was pretty good though, because it was around that whole time of Smuggler's Canyon 5 POA. That was a Wampa that had ball joints and everything, man. It was.
What was the series? What was it? What was it actually part of the series, though, Nick? What was?
It was the Last Jedi line, I think.
Was it?
Yeah. It wasn't Solo.
It's the
TLJ.
It's with that little electronic watch business.
Yeah, Force Link.
Oh yeah,
Force Link. That's it. Yeah, Force Link.
There was other creatures you could get. I don't want to bring it up, Daniel, but you could also buy a Raftar. Yeah, I bought that because I wanted the figure with "You're a dead man."
Is that the time?
Yeah, sorry, Dan. You're going to chip off now, are you?
Sorry
about that, Daniel. Yeah, the Raftar, and you've got that one, BOE loose.
I just reviewed it. Yeah. The legs keep falling off.
Terrible. Need a bit of super glue in there. Anyway, we better. Sorry, fellas. It's interesting. You could talk all night on all of these, but we better crack on. So thank you for that, Scott Borum.
Good question.
From Australia.
Yeah.
And who is next? Oh yeah, the Mile High Ground. And I can't remember. Let's have a read of it. If you had to hazard a guess, do you reckon that the Luke Skywalker from Mando Season 2 that they pipelined will be a single-carded release? Or do you think they'll milk the deluxe price tag? And by throwing in a Grogu... Have I read that right? By throwing in a Grogu with him. Bonus question, will they use Mark Hamill for photoreal reference, or will they use the deep fake, not Mark, for reference? Interesting. Well, well, my first thoughts on this were, I really hope they don't do a
deluxe.
Don't want to do that. We just want him on a Mando card.
Yeah, the Grogus. I feel like I've got Grogus coming out of where.
There's enough Grogus now.
There's quite a lot.
Yeah, I mean that Boba Fett, which they say is a deluxe figures. I mean, if you compare it to what we were getting in 2007 with Hermiodor and all those huge bits of plastic, great figures, regardless of the size of or the amount of plastic used, it was one line that was consistent throughout, and there was no deluxe figures. I mean, Hasbro just decided to bring this notion in. I guess obviously from the Black Series, but I think it's just a way of milking us for more money when these figures are
terrible.
These figures are already so expensive.
at least with the Stormtrooper, you're going to get that E-Web cannon thing, but with this new Fett, it's just 2 helmets, and I thought that was terrible. That should be making it cheaper if it's going to be saving the planet with plastic, whatever. I don't know. Anyway, I thought that was terrible, but the figure is incredible. But anyway,
this Luke Skywalker, it could also be. I hope it's not, but if they were to do a playset of Moff Gideon, the corridors leading to the bridge in that episode where Luke is fighting with the Death Troopers, they could have this figure as a pack-in with that playset. It's possible. I mean, I got a feeling when they've said they're going to release the Death Trooper. It was in the pipeline reveals, and if I heard the lady correctly when she was describing it, she said it's going to be as a part of a world building set.
Yeah,
so that's either going to be one of those boxes with the 4 of them in, like the Stormtroopers and the Shore Troopers, Death Troopers, and the village people, the Rebel Fleet Troopers. I got a feeling they might pack one Death Trooper in a playset like that, which would be scandalous because we really want to army build him, don't we?
Somebody, sorry, Mike, have you got any other thoughts from anyone on this before we move on?
Sorry, I had to duck out of the room for 2 minutes.
Oh, sorry, I was going to say, anyone got any other thoughts on this?
I missed all of that completely, guys. Really sorry. Sorry.
Don't worry. I was only going to say somebody dropped a comment to me the other day, just speaking about Luke, and they talked about having accessories with poncho and all of that. I thought this was this question, but it's not. Somebody else. But I wouldn't want that in a deluxe. I'd want all that in a bubble. That could be done, couldn't it? You could have a poncho, his little cap. I'm talking Luke Farm Boy here, Tatooine Luke, and then his, that big not gaffy stick, that big rifle thing he's got. That could all go in a bubble. If you look at how many accessories they put into the bubble for the Sith
2006.
Trooper. Well,
what about the 2006 Luke? I know that came
collection.
Yeah, that one comes with so many bits and bobs.
It's got the poncho, and it's also got Ben Kenobi's chest.
I'm just saying, this whole deluxe thing is just cobblers, though, isn't it, fellas? I mean, you hardly 2 helmets is just crap. It's nothing extra. You got more on a ARC Trooper. Captain Flordo.
If you BOE, you'll know this one, and I think you've got the figure, Nick, maybe. But sorry, I didn't really hear the whole question. I had to duck out the room for a second. But that there was one. Was it BOE from? I don't know whether it was from the 30th anniversary off the top of my head, but it actually came with a moisture evaporator.
That one.
For anniversary, yeah.
It's the one with this. It's like his hair's all swept and blowing in.
Yeah, but it actually has a moisture evaporator. That thing's enormous when you put it together. Yeah. So, what? Yeah, put 2 hats in and all the other bits. As Nick just said, it shouldn't be on a deluxe card. Of
course not. It's just they're milking us.
I just bought that land speeder. I'm thinking of the bike. Yeah, the Laos family land speed. Well, it's brilliant. Previously in the TVC, of course. I'm going to spin on, boys. Another question.
Yeah,
but you could talk all night about one of them. Moving on now. So what was this one now? I have a question for the panel. So Vintage Collection. It's a funny one. This one, Vintage Collection 2.0, 2018 onwards, feels like it's doing well. We've had some of the best figures we've ever had in the line. So my question is this: what should Vintage Collection 3.0 look like? And when I read that comment, my first thought was, well, you're not going to get a 3.0 unless they stop everything like they did in 2012/13, which
exactly.
I don't know. Do we want to break from it?
No.
Exactly.
No. I mean, if we look
for my wall space. That's just me because I'm really full in here now. But anyway,
but whatever.
Sorry, Bio. It'll all just come down to how well it all sells at the end of the day when there's that.
But we with the line that's came after the 2013 Black Series 3.75, how many of those have had to be reissued in Vintage Collection cards? It's just so you're buying the same thing again. Whereas they should have just kept on with the Vintage Collection in 2012. It's just ridiculous.
It was really sad when that finished. A lot of those, I'll never get over that. Those who know me and you've heard me whine about it before, but the orange line, I've got a big beef with that. But a lot of it has come through. But you know, it would have been nice to have had Torrin Farr, for example, put out on a vintage card.
Yeah, there's quite a few figures in the orange and black line that would be good on vintage collection cards.
Yeah, Mara
Then
Jade.
you can say the same on the legacy side.
Plagueis
as
the
well.
Wides.
So
Loads of them. Loads of them.
Yeah.
We finally got a lot of stuff. I've done videos on it. I can't think off the top of my head, but there's loads. And like even like Mosseb Bined, you know, he would have been I mean, he could come up. He could appear anytime, couldn't he? He could crop up. But,
yeah, it's just whether they'll go down that route, though, Nick. I just can't necessarily at the moment see them going. They seem to have stepped away from, which they did very, very well in the Legacy collection, was the background characters. Which you're an avid collector, obviously, like we guys are, and obviously everybody that generally watches your channel. They want all of those characters, but it's far too easy, and understandably so, to be fair, for Hasbro to re-release figures that have done well recently. I mean, when they spoke about the latest upcoming releases, I mean, I remember messaging you, Nick, but you know, from The Mandalorian, they were talking about what you were going to get in the future pipelines, and I said to you, I can't believe they're just going to give us another Luke Skywalker, and you were like, what, why, Mike? Well, we want that, but I'm like, how many Lukes have we had recently in that sort of, you know, in his sort of Endor garments, if you want to call them? Do you know what I mean? We've had just so many. It's like, and I know I might be in a minority in that. Don't get me wrong, but I was just like, that was the one that underwhelmed me massively. I was like, the rest of them great, yeah, but that they're going to put Luke repack and kit bash a Luke Skywalker and put him on a Mandalorian card. I was like, Whereas we, as collectors, you would probably want all of. I certainly would love some. You know, I know there's been issues where people have said, like with regards to the legacy side of things, maybe some of the molds have got lost or whatever. I don't know how true that is. I'm sure none of you guys. Well, maybe you do, maybe you don't. But it's all about the main characters, and you have to focus on the main characters. Nobody's saying that, but you also want some of these other background figures, and they would also sell well because they're part of this universe, that universe side of things.
They're going to get that Luke correct, though. You could kit bash him already now, but they're going to get the one with the buckle, aren't they? For Mandalorian Luke, corridor or whatever. I hope the card back is him coming through those double doors, you know, when they open the doors on the bridge and he's in the mist with the green saber. I hope it's like that. But also they're going to give you the buckle and the Jedi robe top in it, so it'll be a kit bash of what we've had before. Hopefully they'll use VC23 face. I love that face.
I hope, with regards to the card back, Nick, I would like it to be the image of him when he's standing with his hood off, with his hands folded in front of him across his waist, looking down at Grogu. When you first see his face reveal, you know, just before, I think it's just before he says, "Come, little one," you know, when he's hiding.
But again,
I think
don't
that's a
forget
great image.
Questionable that, you know, that deep fake wasn't as good as, say, what we got in Book of Boba Fett, though, was it?
True.
That's the only issue I've got with that.
It's a great image. I mean, you can't see his movie.
Come, little one.
You hit the nail on the head, and you could just repack VC23.
Yeah. Such
well,
a
it
good
won't
figure.
It won't be completely like that, though, mate. You'll have,
No, I know. But
torso 175, and then But yeah, other thought, fellas, is that we're talking about all these things they could be doing, and then you've got Clone Wars. We seem to be getting a lot of clones at the minute and gaming great stuff, which is there's a lot
I think
of that
that's
going on. But that's a product of a lot of kids or whoever who watch the Clone Wars, and they're probably hitting their 30s and so on. And that's what they. I mean, I don't do any gaming now myself, but I'm still interested. It's a lot of it is clones. A lot of that going on.
Yeah, but again, Nick, from an army building perspective, if you do like that, or you want to create a scene or do a diorama or whatever, and you happen to love the clones, it's perfect. And it's what you know, why wouldn't you do that? I can understand that from their perspective.
What really annoys me though, Mike, is that the fact that they have done so many of the Phase 2 helmets, and then going back to was it the 41st Elite Core? That was the first one. I forgave them for that, and I thought, oh, okay, go on, do one more with the ultra bucket, supersized bucket head. But the fact is, they've done so many like that since, except for obviously, I think they got away with it a bit more with the Echo and Fives, because I don't know, the pauldrons were wider or something. I don't know, but apart from that, awful. I can't believe they haven't thought, right, we need to sort this helmet out because. But I don't know. Maybe they didn't know they were going to do so many back whenever, but they should have sorted that. But anyway, ran over. I'll never. That's another disappointment for the TVC. That was the first question tonight.
Yeah,
I just think with the Legacy collection, just before 2008 to 2009, Hasbro had a lot more confidence in what they were selling then, and they put so many waves of figures out that you could barely keep up with that. But they were really good quality figures. Good enough to be on the vintage collection cards, and since then I think Hasbro's sort of seen their brand tarnished in a way because it hasn't really performed really well. They've put out so many figures that have become they're the basic 3.75 from the new Disney movies, or travesties as you call them, and they've just pegged warmed, and a lot of companies have got have really, I mean, if you go to the Entertainer, you can still find these figures plentiful. No one's buying them, even though they've been substantially reduced, and it could have contributed in a way to the demise of Toys R Us in a way. So I mean, I think it's a lot of it was just people ordering all thousands of, I don't know, multiple boxes of Rose Ticos or Ray figures and stuff like that, thinking, oh, these are going to be everyone's going to want these, when in fact very few people did. So having a lack of variety in what was offered, and the sort of sour taste that these movies left with a lot of our generation. So whereas if Hasbro had a bit more confidence now, with the vintage collection has its base of people that are going to buy it online or if they ever find it in shops, so they could just be a bit more confident and not rely on analytics or these sort of what they're called test marketing groups, and just have a bit more confidence in putting out products, the 96 at least, and then other characters that are popular from the Mandalorian or Book of Boba Fett or the upcoming Obi-Wan. They just need to get back to how they used to be. They used to.
What you're talking about there is
30th anniversary, Saga Blue. You go back 2002. There was so much of the stuff out there. They just need to have some sort of confidence. I mean, maybe that there isn't the retailer space. The retailers seem reluctant to buy Star Wars now because you don't see it. You go to Sainsbury's, there's nothing there hardly now.
Yeah, never.
None of the
it's just like Star Wars in a way seems to be a tainted brand, and Hasbro seems to be reeling from this really, and being overly cautious in what they put out. They just need to be a bit more confident, and
I think it's probably a little bit different though from that though, BOE, because look, you're not going to get these figures in your Sainsbury's or your Tesco's generally, like the 3.75 inch line. But if you actually go back a little bit, and okay, for myself, you, obviously all of us guys here, we're 3.75 inch collectors. But if you when they brought in that 6-inch scale, for example, and I'm not a 6-inch collector at all, I've got a couple of figures.
Yeah.
But it did very, very well. And actually, they then focused very much on that, didn't they, from a figure perspective? I've seen lots of fan forums. We've all chatted about these things where people have said, well, why is the focus all on the 6-inch line, where they got all these figures first, for example? and it was because they probably did well. The vehicle side of things, obviously, no, it doesn't work whatsoever. All they're doing is exploring the different markets. We will always go back to, yes, we want the 3.75, but nobody can deny actually what they've done in the 6-inch line hasn't been successful for them, because it has. Very, very successful for them, and probably opened them up to a slightly different market that you and I would certainly have been involved in. And I don't get involved in that market still, so it doesn't appeal to me massively. There, as I said, there will be the odd figure, but the 6-inch figure line has worked for them very, very well. But what I think then that has also then almost double backed on it is the fact that the TVC line has sort of even grown more and more and more in popularity, and people have been pushing that line more and more and more, which is why we are seeing the quality and the scale of the figures that we're getting. But you can't, they have sort of tried to expand what they've been doing just to see what works from them, obviously purely from a commercial point of view. But the 3.75-inch line has come back, so hopefully we might down the line still get some of these other figures, BOE, the background characters and all those other things, but I don't think they can. It's like anything else, they can't. No, you can't. That these companies cannot put all their eggs in one basket. Do you know what I mean? There's just no way they will do that because of just where we're at. So.
I think it's unlikely that we're going to get many of the background characters in the very near future.
Oh, completely agreed.
I think because obviously if you go back to the legacy, the 30th anniversary collection, the legacy collection, and then the vintage collection, that was a great time to be collecting figures because they were great figures. But there was a lot less media around then. Disney weren't involved. Now that Disney are involved, and obviously there's a lot more media, a lot more shows, a lot more films, a lot more figures and characters needed to be made. They're going to focus on the new rather than the old, aren't they? I mean, I would love the vintage collection to have some of the legacy collection figures in. Jiran, Nikto, Gunner, Malakili. I mean, we're going to get Malakili anyway, but there's a lot of the Cantina characters, Lisa Serlin, the Egghead, Cantina. I mean, they're brilliant.
Dan, they'll literally, they will give you what's popular, won't they? That's a simple.
But we're not going to get those because they've got to make all the Crescent.
No, you're right. You're right. We won't necessarily get the background characters. We probably won't, unless they are like HasLab projects or specials or something. They will have to concentrate on what is hot. Media. Don't say new media. I hate that word. It's not new media. It's just new. It's just new products that are coming out in films or their series. So no. But do you know what I mean? It is, but they will focus on what's hot. So and you can understand that, of course you can. But let's hope they do finish again, like we've already said, the original 96. And if they are going to do things, they might have to come. The whole idea behind like their HasLab project was to do specialty projects that you wouldn't necessarily be able to get in the normal line.
Yeah.
So that might be something that they can go down that route, as we've talked about before, whether that being give us X amount of figures and a cantina or something like that. So.
Yeah.
Well, there's this question from Chris here. So it says, we've seen Hasbro develop new ways of getting product to us, like the HasLab model, Barge, Razor Crest, the Hasbro Pulse exclusive program, which is the book of Boba Fett Throne Room. What other types of product or ways of getting us product would you like to see from them? And, you were talking earlier, BOE, about the good old days, how it used to be.
Get more product in shops, in supermarkets.
Maybe taking, just taking a bit more of a... Well, the variety is gone, hasn't it, really? Well, I say variety. What I mean by that is they used to just pump out so much stuff into it. I don't know. Maybe it's because they've done it all, really. But then they haven't. There's loads of gaps. But they're catering for other products. New media. Sorry, Mike. And then, obviously, different lines and scales and stuff. But I don't know, man.
I just think you're looking at a very, very different sort of collector line now that you have, for example, with people that collect the TVC and the Black Series. Most of the younger, I don't want to say it sounds awful me saying it, like younger generation, but everybody, they just sat on their iPhones or whatever else, and that sounds really awful. I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to be an old crony either, by the way, if anyone wants to comment on that. But if you're going to focus on something, then look, you've got an audience, okay, and it is a collector audience, so you should base it around that. Theoretically, the HasLab projects, other than unfortunately the Black Series Rancor, have been certainly on the Star Wars line. I don't collect anything else. Certainly on the Star Wars line, they've been off the scale, haven't they? So the barge wasn't made readily available. It was only available to Canada and the US, and I believe 800 units that were available in the UK, and that sold out in something like 6-7 minutes in the UK market. The Razor Crest, where they opened it up to not just obviously sort of Canada and the US, sold just shy of 28,000 units. So there is the popularity there. There is the popularity there for these things. So it's about knowing the demographics of your audience. I'm not trying to go into the analytics and all this sort of crap of these things, by the way, for anybody watching. The point being, there is a market there for these things. So know your audience, give them what they want. And the thing is, with obviously things like this channel tonight, obviously what Nick does and what all you other guys do out there, you talk about these things. These should be watched, and I'm sure they are. Don't get me wrong, but there is definitely an audience for the right type of product. It's just about engaging with the right audience, isn't it? So,
yeah.
Thanks, Coney Z. Coney's out you for the super sticker there. That's awesome, man. I appreciate that. And also, massive fan of Jedi Luke. I've loved the artwork this week or last few weeks. Whenever I see one, give it a like. But thank you for that. I appreciate that. What else was I going to say? Mark Lavender said about the Mando stuff on clearance. I don't know if you're finding it, fellas. There's so much Mando retro collection just not doing anything in Asda. That always frightens me. That's the only place I see Star Wars figures in mainstream is there, Asda, and they're not moving, so nobody wants it. Well, not enough people want it.
Thing is, they've been there for so long that the packaging gets battered.
I know it does, doesn't
and it's just in you as a collector, you wouldn't touch it because it's all bubbles, dented, and the cards got multiple creases, so you're not going to touch it now.
I know, it's awful, isn't it? I even find myself sometimes when I'm in Asda standing them up because they're all like on the top, lying flat. I stand them up so people can see. Maybe some fella who's in his 40s or 50s is just wandering through and didn't realize it existed, spots that packaging and thinks, what's this? You know what I mean? Picks it up and starts collecting or whatever. Anyway, awesome. Let's spin on, boys. I think there's another couple more to go here now. That was Toys of Jedi. Thanks, Chris, for the question. And then there's this one here. Do you think the only way to tackle the shortage of releases in new shows, Bad Batch, Mandalorian, etc., in 3 3/4 inch, is to have separate action figure lines instead of heaping all the pressure onto the vintage collection? It's funny because we've been talking about relative to this question all night, really, for the last half an hour or so. And so pressure on the vintage collection and the release of the retro collection slowing down the process. Don't know.
I prefer the single card. I prefer the vintage collection card and just all the various subcategories like gaming greats, Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett within that card design. It's because it's got that nostalgia. They look great, Some of the gaming great figures look amazing. So I prefer. You just pick and choose what you like now.
Well, around about the time the vintage collection last time was winding down, I'd say, end of 2011 or no, well, it went into 2012, didn't it? But I remember going into Tesco's and seeing the Saga Legends, and they were all super articulated. They were great figures, just like the vintage collection ones are. But then, despite aside the retro collection, which purposefully has to be 5 POA, you know, the other lines that they had were 5p away for what I thought no reason really. That was like a big backward step. You get to a certain point of a certain type of figure, why would you go backwards in the articulation other than obviously to save money like they were doing? But
yeah, well, they'd been doing that since 2013 with movie hero lines and stuff like that. They'd sort of gone back to the 5POA model, and you know, they did it with some of the Clone Wars figures and stuff like that.
But I suppose the point I'm trying to make is obviously it doesn't have to. It didn't used to be exclusive just to TVC to have a really good quality figure. You could get that in other lines.
Yeah, the blue 2010 cards you're talking about. Yeah,
and nobody can argue with what you say there. The packaging is brilliant, but I don't really know what other lines they could do now, because they literally do have other lines. They've got different scales and stuff now, 6-inch retro collection. So to open another line of I know people are still licking their wounds because they really wanted to see. I know Smugglers Canyon will have a word on this, but you know, they wanted a line for Rise of Skywalker, just a normal movie line, which, you know, I suppose they could and should have done that maybe, just and then drawn a line under it. But and there was a lot of characters they never got around to doing for that film. But and then it just died a death. There's nothing for that film now, really, other than the TVC we got. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult with that movie, and you know, it's just such a. If it had been more planned of 3 movies and more like the same director throughout, you know, rather than too many chefs spoiling, you know, contradicting each other in this plot holes and stuff like that. It's just, you know, by the time The Last Jedi came, was it The Last Jedi? It was just
Rise of Skywalker.
Or Rise of Skywalker, yeah. It was just
people
were fatigued, fed up.
It's because they had Solo as well, just to really see it off. But they were great figures, and I hope you're listening, Christian. I thought those figures were awesome, and they were no longer 5p away. They were more like, you know, movie line 1999, because there was wrist articulation on the Qui-Gon Jinn and the Obi-Wan in that line, you know, from 1999, the Darth Maul packaging movie line, Phantom Menace. They were great figures and beautifully painted and everything like that. So it was almost like they'd gone full circle around to the very first episode 1 line. But obviously they stayed well clear of doing any more figures for like movie lines after that.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man.
To answer this question, all Hasbro need to do is just release more figures in the vintage collection. Obviously, they're making the 96, so they're making figures from the original trilogy. They're making figures from the Mandalorian. No doubt they will be making figures from Kenobi and Andor. We've got a couple of figures from Book of Boba Fett. We want Bad Batch figures. We want Clone Wars figures. Just make more figures. Release more. They're going to sell. The line is doing great at the moment. It's never been more popular.
Interesting. I've missed a load of chat there. I'm really sorry. Loads of good comments are flying in there about that. Right, let's spin on, boys. Are you still with us, Mike? Are you okay? Michael Butcher? Hello?
Yeah, still here.
Here we go. Hi, Nick. I have a slightly different kind of question for the panel. We've all seen your amazing collection rooms, but how do you store your overstocks of carded, and this is a really good question, of carded and loose figures in order to keep them in top condition? Any tips from the panel? Purchasing star cases or acrylic? We should have Action Figure Grader on about that, because he's got some thoughts on that. Purchasing star cases or acrylic for all carded figures can be an expensive business. Looking forward to the live show. Well, this is it. This is the live show now. Yeah, apparently the word is BOE that these acrylic cases are not so good for the cards. Maybe, I think Action Figure Grader has said to me that star cases do a good job or a better job than, say, an acrylic. They can warp. You know,
for keeping the card straight, the star cases would be perfect, because they obviously pinch. They pinch the card, don't they, all the way around the edge, so it's very unlikely that it's going to warp in any way, shape, or form. But when they're standing up in an acrylic case, I use the DC deflector cases, which, again, over time, if you leave them standing up for a long, long time, I've no doubt they might start to warp a little bit under their own weight, you know?
Yeah. Do you think that tight fit, because some of these ProTech star cases can be really tight fit, and I always worry that the pressure and over time that'll make the bottom of it warp, because it does press them at the top on 3 of the 4 sides of the card, so it doesn't go around all the entire perimeter. But at the very bottom where the bubble is, that's where you get that wave. And it's a shame there's not something there just to keep that pressed flat. But I don't know, it's just the way they're designed.
And obviously, loose figures. I store all my loose figures in acid-free poly bags, and I've got them put away in tubs in dark cupboards that don't get too hot and don't get too cold. And I think they'll last pretty well. They shouldn't have much trouble.
No, I mean, with a lot in the past, I mean, when I started collecting, I used comic bags with white backer boards for vintage Star Wars figures, and they've worked pretty well. So I mean, I've still got quite a few in that, but I mean, these days if you're buying vintage Star Wars, it tends to be graded anyhow, so you're getting it in a acrylic case anyhow. So I mean, you can get some acrylic cases that are have increased UV protection.
But
I mean, with
UV protection.
Yeah, I mean, with vintage collection now, if it's not graded, I just want a nice specimen. I'll just stick it in a comic bag, acid-free comic bag, and store it in a cardboard box, just to get as many in. And then use polystyrene or those packing peanuts, whatever they are, just to make sure the figures cards are as straight as possible. And it's always worked well for me. So, you know, I mean, I've got vintage Star Wars kit figures from the 1980s, and they just look, and these aren't graded, but they look in pretty pristine condition. So, you know, it works. It works well.
Right. I'm going to spin on, boys, because there's quite a few more things. And let's, wow, coming up to the 2-hour mark. Here we go. So this was from Sean Harrison here. And I had to split this up because he sent a really long message. And I've just put the top there so you can see who it was. But then he put at the bottom, Star Wars collecting is an addiction. And I wonder how many people have that good problem. Love the show. Keep it up. What do you reckon, boys?
Every single one of us.
Yeah.
Like that thing earlier, BOE, when I was looking at the Dark Side Alliance listing, and I was thinking, well, I didn't do it in the end. Somebody claimed it before I did, but that's purely, I don't know. It's like ticking a box in my brain, thinking, well, they would go nicely by the TVC equivalents. Aramarco, I've got on the wall, prune face, and I thought, well, get the vintage one to go with it. I'm glad I didn't in the end, because that would have been a lot of money to part with, you know. But still, what do you reckon? You there, Mike?
Yeah, absolutely. I can only see part of the message, though, saying he's a 47-year-old.
Yeah, I know. I cut it off, Mike, because he wrote like a really long message, so I just kept the top on so we could see who it was.
I don't know. Yeah. I suppose it is an addiction, but I think probably the reason for the addiction is it's nostalgic. BOE said many times. What's going in the background there, Dan?
Hey, was it me?
No,
it's Daniel.
Yeah, all right, mate.
No, but, BOE's mentioned it before. The reason that we collect these things is part of the nostalgia, isn't it? That's the whole point of it. It takes you back to not just your childhood, but it's part of the escapism, and that's why we collect these things. I mean, that's for me personally.
Yeah.
Of course. Listen, don't get me wrong. It is addictive. It's massively addictive. I had these conversations with Nick, and we've spoken about these loads of times. You know what I mean? When and I know I've mentioned it before with Nick. Nick was just like, I'm a card collector in terms of, like, I know he had loose room, but I'm not interested in vehicles, figures, anything else. And now the man's got everything.
Not everything.
I mean, I messaged you earlier, mate, and I was only bantering with you, but I was saying, I don't know why I even thought about the MTT, but I said, have you got the MTT, Mike? I even think you do. I do think you've got it, Mike, somewhere. But anyway. I
have an MTT, yes.
You said earlier you didn't.
No, you said, have you got a spare one?
Oh, well, that's what I was like. Well,
that's a very big difference, Nick.
Sell it to me. Sell it.
That's a big vehicle, though, isn't it?
Can I have it? Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, it would be
the-
awesome to get that.
yeah,
I
the
might
bo-
keep my eye
the-
on that one.
The box is quite long, but it's not as wide as you would probably think, BOE.
Oh,
Because it comes sort of split and set up separately. So
yeah.
Right. Anyway, what we're doing here? Let's spin on. I think we're nearly there, fellas. It's funny, isn't it? We could just talk for so long on any of these particular questions, but I think here we go. Marco, do you think prototype Chewie? You see, this is something that I think was also in Tim's show last night. I'm sure he did something on his thumbnail about prototype Chewie, or he had a question mark for the next. What could be next after that? So anyway, Nick, do you think the prototype Chewie will be the last, or will we get more? Personally, I want more. I love them. Yeah, what do you reckon will be next, fellas? They could do any of them. Luke,
Yeah.
Han, Leia. You know,
they will keep doing them because they sell.
I was going to say I've got to be honest here, guys.
Sorry, Mike. Go on.
No, I'm going to upset people here. I mean, I bought. I think it was just the Boba Fett. Well, I know, Nick, when we were up at Echo Base a few years ago.
Please don't remind me about this now.
No, but the Darth Vader ones, wasn't it? Yeah.
They seem so expensive then, but man, are they cheap now?
Yeah, I know, but do you know what, Nick? I mean, I bought a few of the Boba Fett. Was it the Boba Fett figures they had?
Yeah.
And they've done the Stormtrooper, haven't they? That line just does. I'm sorry, it does nothing for me at all. Now.
Really, but I tell you what, it makes me spend money because because you can only buy also 3 from say Star Action, 3 from ID Toys, 2 from Star Action. So I ended up going to Kapow and buying, multiple. And dare I say, Daniel, we've got a little bit of a.
We've got a deal going down.
We've got a deal going. So we've been spending money for putting money.
I'm buying them and I don't even want them.
Exactly. It just goes to show that this whole thing, it's getting people opening their wallets because you've got to guarantee you get all 8. Is it 8 or 6 they've got all together that you can get? Otherwise, you don't want to be trading with people on or looking out for people on Facebook and blah on those groups. Who's got the red-headed one? He's awful.
It just does nothing for me at all.
Me neither. I'm not interested in the slightest.
This line at all. It really
I
doesn't.
haven't even got them on the wall yet. I've got them all. I completed the set. I've not even put them up yet. It's ridiculous.
I think if they just left it at the 1 or 2, the novelty factor obviously would have been great. And but again, it's like anything else. They're just seeing
pound signs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but people are buying them, BOE, so they will keep pumping it out. So
euros. And everything's retro now. Even we talked about this before, the Mandalorian. I think they should have, I don't know, stayed clear of that. But still, anyway, that's something we've discussed before. Keep it retro for what was once that style,
Yeah.
But anyway,
agreed.
Anyway, what we got now, and this is, I think, the last one. This is an interesting one. This one's quite sort of.
Where do you see your
profound? Where do you see your collection in 25 years? Bigger, more carded, loose, or sold off?
I know where mine will be. Mine will either be with my children, or I would have sold it to pay for my nursing home.
I told you, and I didn't want to say it was going to be morbid, this one, but it is, isn't it? But that's the nice thing about it. You can always cash in. You know what I mean? If you really wanted to, if you were desperate.
That is a morbid way to finish, though, Nick, isn't it?
But it would be nice to see what the return, what the return would be. Do you think that the?
Yeah, but you won't know.
But you think about the modern Star Wars started in '95. That's 27 years ago, and you've been more or less collecting, or I have, bits and bobs from the modern line for 27 years plus bits of vintage. It's just 27 years of collect, like what the previous question about an addiction, or I'd say it's a hobby. It's generally a positive thing to be into rather than getting wrecked in the pub all the time and stuff like that, but
and for the most part it's an investment as well, except for Legacy Collection Dagger Squadron B-Wing that I saw on eBay that went for £52 recently, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if anyone was watching that, but I spent 120 on one of them at Echo Base, thinking I'd get it no cheaper anywhere else. And the guy would not negotiate either. I tried to
you
ask him for less, but
yeah.
this goes to show that, you know, I'll probably never sell the Dagger one.
That happens with this hobby. Whatever you're collecting, you always think, oh, I've got it's on eBay for this. I better you know, there's always that fear factor of if I don't pounce now, I might not get it again, or you know, it's a decent price, I might as well pick it up, and then a year or two down the line, you see it for half the price, and you think, why did I buy it for £50 when I could have got it for 25? You know, that's part of this hobby. Is, you know, you win some, you lose some. It
goes both ways, doesn't it?
Yeah, especially with eBay as well. You know, because sometimes you're bidding on stuff that has a low start. Sometimes you do get a bargain on eBay still.
Oh yeah, you do.
You know,
well, yeah.
Other times you don't. Other times you don't. Other times you see something, maybe because you think it's rare. You've got that knowledge in your head, thinking, "Oh, this is a Spanish vintage Star Wars figure with red armor. It's quite exclusive. Maybe I should pay the £200-300 asking price for it, you know, because I know it is rare." So it's like you using your knowledge or asking people that you sort of hunt with on Facebook, whatever, for their advice, and you know, taking the risk. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. You know, I've got quite a lot of stories where I've overpaid, and other times I've underpaid. So you know, it's just, it goes with the territory.
Well, BOE on that point, it was quite funny. I remember, I probably will be going back at least 5-6 years. Star Action Figures actually had on their site. Do you remember the that 5-pack of Ewoks?
Nisa, the girl one.
There was I don't know if, Nick, you probably can't.
Princess Nisa was in it. Yeah, I know, blue packaging. About 2012.
Something like that. There was I think there was 5 Ewoks included in this pack, and they had it up on this. I'm probably doing a complete injustice. It's probably longer than 5 years. They had it up on their site saying, we've got these, but some of the bubbles are slightly damaged, and they were selling them off at like $49.99 or something. BOE.
The Toys R Us Ewok pack.
Yeah, that might be the one, Dan.
In the blue box, 5 Ewoks in there.
Yeah. And I remember I ordered one because they said, "Oh, the bubbles or whatever will be damaged," and this thing came, and it was mint and perfect. And I wish I bought more because I love Ewoks, but not just that. These packs go for stupid money now.
Silly money now, yeah.
Not that I don't do it. This is a hobby, guys. We all know this is not about money. Point being, I would have loved to have one kept carded and collect, and one to open. But they sort of said, "Oh, the things were damaged," and this thing was absolutely mint. I couldn't believe it when it turned up. I was just like, "Oh!" And then you go back, like you check a couple of days later, and obviously everything's sold out. And I think, Nick, you had the same thing, didn't you, with that when they put that thing up about the comic pack thing with the Fixer and
oh yeah.
They had a couple of them. They these things just turned up out of the blue, didn't they, when they moved property or whatever. Great stuff. And
some of the Legacy Collection battle packs are brilliant, and they go for daft money now. There's one in particular. My favourite one is the Scramble on Yavin battle pack, and it's got 3 figures and the little transporter vehicle that drives around in the Yavin hangar. The one that Princess Leia jumps on. At the end when they drive back, and that goes for like upwards of 200 quid, 250 quid now.
Yeah.
And it was a 40 quid battle pack, 30 quid battle pack back in 2008, 9.
It was at Toys R Us. I remember
Yeah.
seeing it at Toys R Us for about 20 quid.
Yeah,
And
it is a great battle pack.
I sort of I'm denied about buying it, and now it's buyer's regret.
Because it's the only place you can get Garvin Drace as well, who is Red One, like Red Leader. He's the fella in A New Hope who talks to Luke and Biggs. Skywalker, you sure you can handle this thing? It's him, and you get his astromech droid as well, R5K6, little red one. You get a rebel technician.
Yeah.
And then you get the little transporters. It's a brilliant battle pack, but it's silly money.
But Dan, on top of that, the just that vehicle on its own, that
they re-released that in the movie. I think it was a Movie Heroes line. It might even have been just before that. It was around 2012.
It came with a rebel trooper,
It came with a technician and just a vehicle on its own.
Transporter technician, whatever.
And even those are silly money.
They're so difficult to get and go for silly money.
Matt Lucas, who asked the first question tonight, actually one of the first questions, he's got 3 or 4 of those.
Really?
Yeah.
It's amazing what he's done, isn't he? What did he sell it all or get rid of? Now he's bought it back or whatever.
I think he got rid of his Star Wars collection a few years ago. He also had a massive G.I. Joe collection, I think. And then when he got the Star Wars bug again, I think he got rid of his G.I. Joe collection to rebuy his Star Wars collection, something like that.
Wow.
But when that man buys a collection, he gets multiple of everything. And like I said, he's got at least 4 of these, maybe 5 of these little transport things. And you just can't get them anywhere for a decent price. God forbid how much he spent on that collection.
They're great vehicles, though, as well.
It is a great little thing.
Right. Well, you might see a wheel spinning now, fellas, on the screen.
Don't show me these things. I have no luck on these things.
Is it just 3 then?
What do you say, Dan? No, we're going to put a couple of more names on the wheel. What do you say, Dan? You say I've got some bad luck to stand on it. If it stood on a pile of shit.
I always say if there wasn't any bad luck in the world, I wouldn't have any luck at all. And if I was unlucky enough to tread on a dog poo, it'd probably have a nail in it.
And
that's the kind of luck I have.
I stuck with BOE that because he requoted that, I think, somewhere. I'm sure you did in a comment or something. BOE.
I mean, if I was in a marching band, I'd be the geezer with a piano. I mean, that's my.
Dan, if you fell into a bucket in the balls, you'd come out sucking your thumb.
Exactly. I wasn't going to go down that road, Mike, but there you go. I was trying to keep it clean.
Yeah, I put on the wheel the 3 people who dropped the little super chat earlier, but then there's going to be a quiz now. So Ben wants to know how to get into this giveaway. I'm going to ask a few questions now. Fingers on the buzzers, or first one to put a correct answer in the comments. So I'm going to need your help here, fellas.
Are we eligible?
Well,
no, I'm kidding.
I've got your address now, son. I've got your address, so don't you worry. You're safe. You're safe. Yeah, what's going to happen is just give me some help, fellas, moderating this
right.
first. Do you know what? I went on a website to look for some really difficult Star Wars questions, and they're easy because we just, I don't know, were we that far down with our fandom? I don't know, but still. So here we go. Should we have one? I'll just choose a.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so easy, these. It's ridiculous. But there was a couple. Yeah, you are. Yeah, the first one with the correct answer.
Okay.
And God, you just need a question, don't you? I should have started at the top of this. Bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. So here's the question number 1. How many dewbacks were in the original 1977 theatrical cut of the first Star Wars movie? That question again was how many dewbacks?
Is this to us or to the panel?
Have you not been listening, Michael? This is for the bloody guests, isn't it? With the people.
Sorry.
Well, no, I'm joking, mate. I didn't mean that.
All right, we've got the answers.
Well, we've got the answers coming in now, and I'm going to tell you what it is, the correct answer in a minute. Well, I'm seeing stuff on StreamYard here. I think what Tim said once, Boss Bounty, he said what I see, and I'm seeing on here, first answer was Smuggler's Canyon, who said 1. And
That's
then
what
after
I'm
that,
seeing.
Chief Chirper said 2.
Yeah.
Org said 4. Martin Footer
Yeah.
said 2. Well, I'll tell you now, the correct answer is 2, and that's Chief
Yeah.
Chirper. Is everyone else seeing Chief Chirper as the
Chief
right?
Chirper.
Great.
I said 2.
Yeah.
I thought 2 because
Did
one
you?
outside the cantina and one in the desert.
Well, do you know what? We're going to make this a bit more interesting now, because as opposed to me telling you the answer straight away like I did, I'm going to ask the guests what they think the answer is, and then we will reveal the correct answer.
Are you
Chief
talking in
Chirper.
the entire film? Throughout the entire film?
As in props. I know, or what scene? I presume it's the props they had on the when I interpreted that. Let me read it again.
Yeah.
How many dewbacks were in the original 1977 theatrical cut? So I presume it was just 2 in the background you saw. Someone was in the pod. Tracks go off in this direction. Look, sir, droids. I think they're talking about that scene, maybe. And you see
There's
one
just
outside the
one.
cantina
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
So there's
Anyway.
3 then, isn't it?
Well,
There's
I
2
don't know
in
about how many a scene. Like,
Ah,
no,
right,
well,
yeah,
no,
how many-
it's how many they had, I guess. How many they made. I
2 then.
presume.
Yeah, you don't see more than 2 on screen at any one time.
Yeah. So here's the next question. This is again, I find this well, it's very easy, but anyway, which species stole the plans to the Death Star? See, that's just easy, but it's a bit if you can spell it or not.
So
Do you get an extra point for spelling it correctly, Nick?
You'll get on the wheel if you look at all these people commenting here now. Look at this. Many died to bring us this information. Admiral Akbar, please. You can see here the Death Star. General Maydean. We have stolen a small Imperial shuttle. Disguised as a cargo ship, a small strike force will deactivate the I can't remember the script. Yeah, Jen Erso is not the right answer, Smuggler's Canyon.
Well, technically, it is now.
That's pathetic. The correct answer I saw first. What's the correct answer, boys?
Boffin,
Boffins.
Bothans, yeah, the Bothan, and it's spelled correctly. I saw green.
Green
Green
Met
Met Box, yeah.
Yeah, Green Metbox said it first.
Well
You
done,
get,
Green Met
you're on
Box.
the wheel. Make sure, by the way, if you're watching this, hit the live button. You might be a couple of seconds behind, whatever reason, I don't know, maybe. So hit the live button on your device, which is bottom left, and then it'll make sure you're watching it as in real time as possible. So what were they called again? Green
Met Box.
Metbox. Awesome. You're on the wheel. Oh, we've got 2 blues clashing together there. That doesn't work. And let's have another one. I should have pre-prepared. I mean, I've got the list. I'm on the website now, but they're just. I should have chosen the harder ones. I read through them all. Like, what is the name of Boba Fett's ship? Slave One. That's not a question, by the way. I've given you the answer, but well, depends on who you talk to. My fire spray. My Ford Cortina. It's your car. Okay. What have we got here then? See, that's easy as well. Oh, here. I found this quite difficult. I didn't know this one. I'm going to give this one to you all. Are you ready? It's a tough one, I think. I didn't know the answer to this. What day is Wookiee Life Day? And where did we first learn about the holiday? Oh, no. It's like 2 questions in one. Let's clarify that. What day is Wookiee Life Day? And that's your question. What day is it?
What day?
Wookiee Life Day.
People
Not
clicking
Life
on-
Day.
Yeah. What day is it? Like the
From the
Yeah,
thing they
yeah.
don't talk about anymore.
like what date is it basically? Oh, we've got answers coming in and they're correct answers as well. Well, hang on a minute.
Let's have a look.
No, we've got one that was a near miss there. Maybe it's a human error when they were typing in their numbers. That's Martin. Let's have a look here. I think it's not looking good for Martin Footer there. Do you fellas know the answer to this
I think
without
it's Star
cheating?
Killer, isn't
I
it?
think so.
What date did you think? I never knew this because I.
Oh, no,
November
sorry.
17th.
It's November. Yeah, well done, Daniel San. It's November the 17th. And that is Wookiee White. And so, Martin
Hey.
Footer, I'm really sorry you were first, but it was the wrong answer. It was Star Killer.
No, it's Ben.
Aye?
1st November the 17th is.
Ben
Oh my
November.
god! Oh my god! Zachary, they got Ben. I know.
Ben
Oh,
November.
Yeah, it's
ooh,
Ben.
He's got two different. He's
Ben-
got
it's
November
Ben.
Yeah, but he
187.
put 17.
No, it's
He
Ben.
put,
Yeah, he put November.
Okay, we'll
187.
put Ben in there. Sorry, Zachary. I would have had Zachary there, to be honest.
No, it was Ben.
Stick them both in there.
Should we stick them both in?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's settle this. Let's do that. Let's have Ben and
Life
Zachary.
day, for God's sake.
Let's have Zachary. Oh my God! You know what I need to do now? I think I'm just going to sort the settings for this now. What do we need to do here? I'm not having all the cobblers. Oh my God! Oh Jesus! I don't believe this. That's what we're going to have an elimination. I think we're going to. Oh no! Have I just eliminated him? Yeah. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy all these names here. I'm going to refresh the website. Oh, they're still there.
Put David back in.
Now, what do we need to do here? I can't remember this. Is it advanced?
Yep.
And then we go to. Oh, hang on a minute. Bugger. Because I remember this took me ages to figure this. Oh, no, here you are. Results. Hide. Results. Entries. Bugger. Where's Universal Collector Matt when you need him? Can't remember how you do this.
I love the fact that Brett on Flex every day as well.
every day is life day. It must have been November the 17th when they showed it in 78.
Yeah. I really don't know what I'm doing here, fellas.
Come on, Nick, get your house in order.
Customize. I think this is it.
Yeah, that's it.
This is the one. I'm really sorry for the delay, ladies and gentlemen. We'll have a couple more questions, maybe, or should we just go?
Don't forget to put David back on the wheel.
It should still be. You're not on there no more.
I don't think so, no. Even when you refreshed, it already gone.
Oh, hang on a minute. I think the settings are still the same as the last time I used this. So I can't even spell eliminated. Eliminate. On.
Just put out.
Right. I think. God, I'm sure I'm doing everyone's head in here with all this. I don't believe this. Are you snoring there, Daniel, son?
What? Sorry, woke me up.
Spin time.
Ooh.
5 seconds.
Yeah, that'll do.
And then after spin. Yeah, I think the settings must be the same as when I last used this. Auto remove. Yeah. All right. So, is he on this wheel or nah?
No, you got to put his name in. Last thing you do.
Ooh.
Yeah, after Zachary, put David in.
David Sutherland.
Yep.
Right.
And then
Thanks,
all
Stan. Thank you. Yeah. Brilliant. Let's have another very quick question just because people have been waiting so long. Let's get another one out there. Right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about the wait. Flipping out, what a fiasco that was. Only what Kenobi. Yeah, I know what the hell's going on. Right, let's have another question. Bear with me. Oh, yes, ladies and gentlemen. This is one I didn't know about this one. Vader's chest piece has some writing on it. What language is it in?
I know this.
I know.
We know.
I never knew that.
Is it
I know.
the Star Wars language? Is that right, BOE?
Oh, it's the
No,
it's the actual language. The actual language.
What? You need to stop talking, fellas. You're giving.
There's some.
I'm
here.
still waiting for a correct answer here.
Cockney.
I'll
I've
say that
seen.
much.
I think I've seen the correct answer.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I thought that was the answer, but it ain't.
Cockney.
Arabesh
Scouse.
ain't the right. Oh, we've got the right answer. This is
I've
it.
got it. Yeah.
Hang on, not.
Oh, can I say the answer when
Go
it's
on then,
timed?
Dan. Go on then to BOE.
A Hebrew.
Yeah, is the right answer. I had no idea. Yeah.
Buddy
neither.
So,
Hepburn.
Buddy, I think let's just double check here. Let's go. Are we all seeing Buddy Hepburn as the man?
Yeah.
Yeah.
First, right, let's get him on. Buddy Hepburn. And I'm going to ask one final question, ladies and gentlemen. So, Darth Vader's chest piece has some writing on it. What language is it? Well, that's in Hebrew. But what does it translate to, ladies and gentlemen? That's the final question. What does it actually translate to? What's written in Hebrew? Something else I did not know.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
That is
wow.
difficult.
Oh, wow.
Oh wow.
Because this website is full of really easy questions, but would be tough for the the average fan. But when you take something like this and you put it inside you, I'll stop there.
Leave it.
I'll leave it. Leave it out, will you?
Leave it alone.
Let's have a look here. I won't answer that. Smile. The dark side. I hate sand. I love that one.
Does it say eggs, milk?
One.
bread?
Right. Well, hang on a minute. I need to double check what the answer is. Yeah, I'm still waiting for a correct answer. It's quite a sentence, you know. Unless I haven't scrolled down enough.
I have no idea.
Jedi Berry, you're on the wheel. Thank you for reminding. Yes, Jedi Berry.
Okay, great.
He's not got the answer, but I need to put him on for another reason.
You never know. It could
Tell
be
you what the answer is, unless anyone can chip in with it.
coincidental. This could be written on Darth Vader's chest piece. You forgot to add my name the last time you did a real competition.
Yeah.
Great chance, and me now.
Let's just have another look at the chat here. I don't think anybody is going to answer this. Apparently, he's got it. Darth Wizzy Wizard's got it, and I'm just about to paste it as well. This is apparently written in Hebrew on Vader's chest. His deeds will not be forgotten. Oh, sorry,
Forgiven.
I can't even read my own bloody thing. His deeds will not be forgiven until he merits. Which is, let me just put his comment up. So yeah, Wizzy, you're on. Awesome. Let's spin that wheel, ladies and gentlemen.
Google's great.
Yeah.
I'm just going to put Wizzy down there, man.
Wiz.
Darth Wiz. Right. Awesome. One.
Are you doing this elimination or is every
7, 8, 9, 10? There's 10 people on the wheel. Yeah, it's going to be elimination, Daniel San. So should we spin it?
So how many winners? Just one? The last one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Give it a spin.
I certainly am.
Good luck, everybody.
All right, here we go. His name is Scuba Pete. He is the king of the collector, Pete. And then hard luck. I'm sorry about that, Scuba. You are out. Ooh, Buddy Hepburn. Blimey, that was close. David Sutherland on a knife edge there. Oh, God, I kept doing that last time. Spin.
Oh.
Chief Chopper. Have I spelled that right or wrong? Oh, dear. David Sutherland. Suspense indeed, Wizzy Wizard. Hang on a minute. Yeah. Oh! Darth Wiz, he's gone. You're out of there. Go on. You're gone. Oh, Zachary. Any thoughts on this wheel, fellas? It's all gone quiet in here. It's all the tension.
4 left.
And then there was 4.
Oh, Jedi Berry.
Three.
Sorry, man.
The pressure's building.
And then there were 3. Oh, green bat.
Green mat box. Oh dear. 2 left.
Nick, what does the winner get? Your katana?
That's not right. Imagine that. Imagine that. God,
Get something far better.
Oh yes.
A patch.
Hey, that's not a patch on the katana. Hey, you see what I did there?
For most men, it's a bald patch. Of our age,
He's there all night, ladies. He's fast. He's quick. Comedy gold, that is. Right, let's spin it one last time. Oh, Jesus. Stop doing that. Hate that. Pressing spacebar just does that what it does there. Right, here we go.
This is it.
Oh, unlucky Ben.
Ben, he's out of there. It is Tony Z, man.
Tony's it.
Awesome. Congratulations, Tony Z. Well deserved.
Well done.
Well done, Tony.
And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. It is all over. What else can we say? It's a bit. I hate doing that. It's a bit of an anticlimax. It's a bit like I'll never forget watching the National Lottery in 1994.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
We all gathered around the telly. We watched the first ever National Lottery, and it was just such a terrible feeling when it finished. Is that it? Is it?
And it's good night from me.
Sterile. Good night from him.
Winners. Anyway, on that bombshell, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, everybody, for watching and commenting. Thank you for everyone who's contributed and dropped comments this week. And any final thoughts, fellas, before we say goodbye?
Been great little chit chat.
Yeah, thanks everybody for being on. Simple as that.
Great show.
Yeah,
Thanks
brilliant.
for having me on.
And everybody that's commented, thank you ever so much.
Everybody in the chat.
Yeah, brilliant.
Cheers.
Awesome. Cheers. Goodbye. Anyway, well, thank you again for watching. Back to normal next week. I'll be doing a normal episode of Only One Fans. But in the meantime, it's goodbye from me and it's goodbye from them.
Bonjour.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Cheers. Goodbye.
Bye.